You are now listening to In Love with My Alpha Bossa book, available on Amazon. Chapter 1, Trinity Hawkins. I woke up before my alarm even rang and quickly took my shower. I wore my black pants and a dark green blouse, then added the essential jewelry to my outfit. I applied my perfume to complete my look and smiled at myself in the mirror, admiring my gorgeous self. I grabbed the files I brought home with me and my car key, put them in my bag, and left my apartment. As I ran downstairs, I met one of my neighbors, George, who greeted me. "Good morning, beautiful." As he came closer, he gave me that charming smile of his, and I returned it without thinking. George has always been a flirt with me, and every day I see him with different girls in his arms. "Good morning, George," I said back before noticing the fancy clothes and chains he had on as we entered the elevator. His black hair was neatly styled, and his beard was well trimmed. "He looks really nice today. You are a beauty, you know that," he complimented me. His eyes were fixed on my face and body at the same time. I smiled, shaking my head at him, because this is what he tells me all the time. "I know that, George." I winked at him, and he laughed. Suddenly, I noticed the tray he had in his hand. He must have caught me staring, because he pushed them in my direction. "Do you want some cupcakes?" he asked, but I politely declined, which caused a frown on his face. "I can't have a cupcake on an empty stomach," I explained, and he nodded in understanding. "Well, next time I will get you something healthy to start with before handing you the cupcake." I laughed and shook my head as the elevator door opened. "But where are you going, holding a tray of cupcakes?" I asked curiously. "I'm going to a birthday party," he replied. "This early?" My eyes widened, and he shrugged as we walked to the garage. I laughed and got into my car, and he waved at me as I drove off. I arrived at the company after getting my boss coffee and rushed inside, greeting everyone on my way with a smile, and got into the elevator. Being the pa of Ellen Cooper wasn't easy because I needed to be in the office earlier than others. Ellen Cooper, the CEO of Cooper Limited, was a work alcoholic, which means I also have to work the same hours with him. He's always overworking himself, which also stresses me out. I got out of the elevator and went to my office to drop my bag before going to Alan's office. With the coffee and files in one hand, I knocked on his door. I heard his voice, and I entered. "Good morning, sir." I greeted him with a smile as I set the coffee on his desk. "And these are the documents that need to be checked and signed by you." I dropped documents on his desk, but far away from his coffee. "I will do that next week," he said, typing on his computer. His black hair was falling over his forehead. It had grown longer over the past few days. I guess too much work has made him forget how to take care of himself. His hair has always been short since I started working for him 4 years ago. But that doesn't change how attractive he looks. Every time I see him, my heart always flutters. Being in love with your boss wasn't easy, especially when he doesn't glance your way except when he wants to talk about business. But I don't let it get in my way and focus on my work. Suddenly, I remember what he said. "But sir, that's Thanksgiving Day. It is literally a holiday for everyone." Without taking his eyes off the computer, he said, "And so what? I will be the one working. It doesn't matter what day it is to me." Why would he be working? Can he just take a break and rest for once? "Okay," I said. That was fine with me, as long as it didn't mean working with him. I already had plans with Dad for Thanksgiving. I left his office and went to mine to continue my work. After hours of working and attending meetings, it was finally time for me to go back. I was hungry and sleepy at the same time. I only ate one sandwich with a cup of coffee because of Mr. Cooper. The day dragged on as we moved in and out of the office, inspecting the site for Mr. Cooper's new hotel. Mr. Cooper is a man of many trades, from hotels and clubs to restaurants and rental houses. His ventures are wide, yet construction is his true business. Still, his primary focus is his construction company. I gathered my things and informed Mr. Cooper that I was leaving for the day. With a simple nod from him, I picked up my bag and walked out, wishing the security man a good night on my way. Since Christmas was close, the air had grown colder, and the street bustled with people moving in every direction. I drove to the supermarket, to pick up some groceries and make myself dinner. After grabbing what I needed, I returned to my car, set the bags in the back seat, and drove off. Finally, when I got to my apartment, I placed the groceries on the counter and went to my room to freshen up before preparing dinner. I hate the feeling of sweat or staying in the same clothes for too long, which is why I always freshen up as soon as I get home. I feel calmer and more relaxed when I know I'm clean to my satisfaction. I live in a nice and cozy one-bedroom apartment with a lot of space in it. I love how spacious the apartment is, and I don't have to feel claustrophobic when I'm inside. When I entered my room, I went straight to the bathroom for a refreshing shower and stepped out 20 minutes later. Once I finished my night routine, I headed back to the kitchen to prepare a quick dinner. I put some of the items I wouldn't be using inside the fridge and started cooking my Alfredo pasta, which came out better than I thought. I sighed in satisfaction. After eating and lay on the sofa, finally, I can sleep, I murmured, closing my eyes while hoping for sleep to come. But I couldn't, because all I could think of right now is Mr. Cooper and nothing else. I was worried for him. I wonder if he's gone home yet. Has he eaten? Or is he still locked away in the office working? Different questions were all running through my mind at once. He works too much and I feel bad for him. He spends his entire time locked in his office. I have never heard him say he has to go home. Doesn't he have a family that is worried about him? I have never seen or heard him talking about any of his family members. Could it be that he's all alone in this world? I wish there were something I could do for him. With the thought of Mr. Cooper, I fell asleep on the couch. Chapter 2 Ellen POV. It was finally Thanksgiving Day, and instead of celebrating it with the rest of the pack, I was in my office working. I can't remember the last time I celebrated any holiday with my family or the pack since my mate Susan died. When she died, everything about me died with her, and losing your mate can make others go insane. But the pain wasn't like that anymore since Trinity walked into my office. There's something about her that calms me down and makes my wolf go crazy. There are times I've wanted to shift right in my office because of her scent, but I hold myself back since no one else in the company is my kind. Being both an alpha and the boss of one of the largest construction companies in the state wasn't easy. It's draining at times, having to split myself between two worlds. I know people often call me ruthless in business, and I prefer it that way. In this world, you can't afford to be soft or kind, or someone will pull you down. It's the same with running a pack. You have to show others your ruthless side, or they would somehow overpower you. When it comes to my pack or business, I don't joke with it, and everyone around me knows it. The mere thought of someone trying to steal my idea or copy me makes me furious, and I won't hesitate to kill them. I hate those kinds of people, but not the same way I hate rogues. They killed my mate, and since that day, I have become ice cold. Just the mere sight of them makes me furious. Alpha. A voice pulled me out of my thoughts. I raised my head from the paper and saw Nellie standing there, wearing a very slutty outfit. How dare you enter my office without my permission? I questioned angrily. I just wanted to see you. You didn't come for dinner, she said, taking a step closer to me. Get out, Nellie. As you can see, I'm busy, I said in a cold tone. She walked towards me and placed her filthy hands on my arms. My wolf was growling in my head. Don't push me away, Alpha. Just tell me what you want me to do and I will do it. Her voice whispered in my ears, attempting to be sultry and enticing, her long manicured nails trailing along my arm. I pushed her away from me and gripped her wrist firmly. Nellie was someone I slept with before I met my mate, Susan, and since then, she has never stopped making advances towards me. She's obsessed with me, and it's a constant pain in my neck. She can't seem to understand the word stop. Don't you get it when I say I want nothing to do with you? I growled, my patience wearing thin. Or you want me to punish you the hard way so you can listen? My wolf has taken half control of my body and my claws were already out, wrapped around her neck. Tears spilled down her cheeks, fear replacing the lust. Get out now, I growled, and she scrambled away, leaving behind a tense silence that settled around the room. I sighed, closing my eyes and sinking into my chair. I decided to take a break and leave my office for once. I went down to get a bottle of water when I saw Kyle, my beta, in my kitchen, licking ice cream with so much focus. Where did he get that ice cream from? And why is he in my house in the first place? What are you doing in my house, Kyle? I asked, startling him. His eyes widened when he turned around and saw me standing behind him. Hey, Alpha, he said, sheepishly, answer my question. Just came to lick this, he smiled, showing me the bowl of ice cream. I sighed, glaring at him. You came to my house just to eat ice cream when you have your own house. I needed privacy from Lucy. She wouldn't let me eat the ice cream. Maybe you should listen to your mate for once, I replied and went to the fridge to get the water. I drank everything and dumped the empty can in the trash. The house was so quiet, and the only sound you could hear was the one Kyle was making. I don't want to see you in my house when I come down again, Kyle, I warned him. Yes, sir. He saluted and laughed at his jokes. I shook my head and went to the guest room. I haven't slept or entered my room since I lost my mate. Just the sight of the door made my heart ache. And a lot of her memories filled that room. Those memories still haunt me in my dreams, and every night I relive the day she died in my arms. I can only sleep with the help of sleeping pills, but it doesn't last for long. I wish I could stop the dreams, but I think the moon goddess is punishing me for being careless and not saving my mate on time. The next day, I arrived at work earlier than everyone else to review some files I had left in the office. Ones I needed to go over before the client meeting later that day. Suddenly, I heard a knock on the door and asked the person to enter. I looked up and saw Trinity walking majestically till she stood in front of me. I couldn't help but stare at her. Good morning, sir. She greeted me with a smile. Morning. What are you doing here so early? I asked in surprise. It's only 6:30 a.m. and she's already in the office. No reason. And I brought you breakfast since I know you didn't have anything before coming. She held up the plastic container in her hands to show me. It's just some Thanksgiving leftovers, she explained. I was speechless. I didn't know what to say to her. Thank you, Trinity, I finally said, and a smile formed on her face. After that, she left, leaving me with a small smile as I stared at the container of food. I can't believe she brought something for me to eat. Could this be because she was worried about me? Seeing her with a smile on her face took the stress away from me. No one outside my family has ever done something so nice for me. One thing I admire about her is the way she loves to smile. I know I'm a difficult man to work with, but I admire the smile she always keeps at work and attends to all my requests. There's something about her that draws me closer to her, but I try to keep my distance. It wasn't easy when she was in my presence every single day. I remain professional and keep my wolf in check, never doing anything that might make her uncomfortable. The best I can do is stare at her from afar. Chapter 3, Trinity Povey. It was the first workday after Thanksgiving break, and I made sure to wake up early to get Mr. Cooper something to eat, since I knew he wouldn't on his own. I have never seen a man who neglects himself like him. I packed the leftover food into the container and placed it inside an extra bag and left for work. When I arrived at the office, I saw his light on, which meant he was already inside. I took the food and went to him. He looked surprised, like he couldn't believe I would do something like this to him. After he thanked me, I left and went to my office. I arranged the files on my desk back to their proper place on the shelf and tidied my desk as well. Once I was done, I organized Mr. Cooper's schedule for the day, and luckily he didn't have many meetings. My phone suddenly vibrated with messages from Dad and Vera, a co-worker of mine. Vera wanted us to meet up for lunch, while Dad was simply wishing me good luck with a heart emoji. His message instantly brought a smile to my face. Thanksgiving this year was fun since it was just the two of us. My aunts and uncles couldn't make it, but that didn't stop us from having a great time. It felt like the best sleepover ever. Since Mom passed away due to cancer, Dad has always tried his best to be both parents. I texted Dad back with a love you and sent Vera a thumbs up, asking her to meet me at the new cafe across from the office building. I'd always wanted to try their pastries after hearing some of the workers talk about them, and maybe pick up a few for Mr. Cooper as well. I wonder if he loves sweet food. The door of Mr. Cooper's office quietly opened, and he stepped out and came to mine. Can you call the maintenance guy? The light in my office suddenly went off. I need him to fix it immediately. No problem, sir. I picked up the phone and called someone from the maintenance agency. It rang, but no one answered. I tried again and waited, and after a few minutes, someone finally picked up, while Mr. Cooper returned to his office. Hello. The guy answered in an annoyed tone. Good morning. Can you come to Mr. Cooper's office? There's something wrong with his office lights. I informed him. I will be right there, he said. Okay. Thank you, I replied and hung up. A few minutes later, I noticed someone walking toward my office with a toolbox in hand. He was tall, with brown hair, and wore an overall. He stopped at my door and knocked. Hi, my name is Benjamin. We spoke on the phone. I really didn't want to be rude to him, so I stood up and shook his hand. I'm Trinity. Mr. Cooper is waiting for you. I followed him to the door and knocked twice before he responded. I opened the door and stepped inside, motioning for Benjamin to enter. He entered and stood behind me, like super close that I could feel his breath down my neck. I moved away from him and stood at the other side of the room. Mr. Cooper cleared his throat, and I noticed his fist and jaw were clenched. Did he see what happened? Is he angry because I moved? Get to work. I don't have all day, Mr. Cooper said in a cold tone. Yes, sir. Leaving them to deal with the issue, I exited the office and entered mine. I was so deep into work that I didn't notice Benjamin standing at the door, and before he could say anything, Mr. Cooper walked him. You can go back to work now. Your work here is finished, he said. Benjamin nodded with a hint of annoyance on his face and slowly started making his way out. Thank God. I don't have the time to chit-chat. I sighed and turned my gaze back to my work. I still have a lot of work to do before lunch break. Miss Hawkins. Shit. I totally forgot he was still standing here. I apologetically smiled at him and avoided making eye contact as much as possible. Yes, sir, I answered. My voice was a bit shaky, and I don't know why. Thank you for the food. You didn't have to, but I appreciate it. It was really delicious, he said with his hands still stuck in his pants pockets. It's nothing, sir. I'm glad you liked it. This is the first time we have had a good conversation that is not related to work, and I like it this way, especially the way his eyes were fixed on me. It causes me to blush hard. I cleared my throat, trying to hide my red cheeks. Is there anything else I can do for you, sir? I asked. Just schedule my meeting with Fox Group for Friday. And with that, he left my office. I finally let out a long, deep breath. I would never get used to talking to him all the time. His voice is so magical in my ears. I shook my head and went back to work, forcing myself to stop fantasizing about my boss. When it was finally time for lunch, I grabbed my purse and left my office. Vera was already standing at the entrance of the company building, so I waved at her, and she waved back. Together, we went inside the cafe. I ordered 3 cinnamon rolls with strawberry milkshakes, while Vera chose the banana bread with pineapple juice. The moment I tasted my dessert, it felt like heaven. It was so good. I swear I went to heaven and came back. Vera couldn't stop moaning as she ate, completely enjoying herself. Their milkshakes were just as amazing. After we finished, we went back to the office and waved goodbye to each other. I went to Mr. Cooper's office and found it empty. I left the cookies I had brought for him on his desk before heading back to my office, where I continued working on my laptop. I shut down my computer and packed my things for the day before heading to Mr. Cooper's office to let him know I was leaving. I knocked, but when there was no reply, I stepped inside and found him pacing the room as if something was troubling him. Mr. Cooper, are you all right? I asked worriedly. He snapped out of thought and nodded. I'm fine. You can leave now. I left him and walked out of the building. I hadn't brought my car today, which meant I needed to find a cab or taxi. I waited and waited, but not a single cab passed by. Finally, I started walking to see if I could catch a public bus. If not, I'd just have to order an Uber to get home. As I walked down the street, I noticed how tense my body felt, as if I was being watched. I increased my pace and started walking fast without looking back. The person behind me also increased their steps. My heart was beating fast in my chest. Why is he following me? Is this how I'm going to die? Suddenly, a hand covered my mouth and dragged me before I could scream out. Chapter 4 Ellen POV. Since this afternoon, my wolf, Dan, has been moving restlessly in my head, which means I've been restless too. I could feel an unfamiliar presence, though I couldn't tell where it was coming from. The entire workday I was distracted. A task that normally takes me 30 minutes ended up being the only thing I managed to finish. During break, I decided to step outside and scout the area when the disgusting stench of a rogue hit my nose, making me growl loudly. Thankfully, I was the only one around. I quickly mind-linked my warriors, ordering them to scout the premises and kill any rogue they found. How dare they show themselves in the human world? The air was filled with their disgusting and filthy smell. If a rogue is really here, that means they are here to cause trouble. They are bad news, and no one is safe. Deciding to go back to my office, I let the warriors do their work and report back to me. When I arrived at my office floor, Trinity was already in her office, working on my computer with so much focus. Just staring made my wolf calm down a little bit. I went back to my office and found it slightly disorganized, with files and documents scattered across the room. The wind must have blown them around since I had left the window open. For a moment, I thought of asking Trinity for help, but I stopped myself. I'd rather not disturb her and let her stay focused on her work. After arranging everything, I sat on my chair and turned on my computer. But then, I saw a little brown bag on the table, so I opened it and saw cookies inside. A smile immediately lit up on my face as I stared at the cookies. Trinity was the only one courageous and kind enough to get me something. My wolf, Dan, started purring like a cat in my head just at the thought of Trinity. Her future husband will be lucky to have her as his wife. She's everything a man could ever need: kind, hardworking, respectful, and always smiling. But the thought of someone else being with her makes me angry, and I don't understand why. I notice how the guys in the office stare at her, especially that maintenance guy who made her feel uncomfortable. I tried to control myself and not attack that guy in her presence. After he left, I called his company and had him fired without a second thought. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't care. But when it comes to Trinity, I become a completely different person. Because you like her, Dan said in my head. I can't like her. I can't betray my mate and be with another woman, especially a human. She doesn't know who her boss really is, and I would like to keep it that way. My world is too dangerous for her. The guards reported back with no sight of any rogues in the premises, but the restless feeling was still there. I knew they were hiding somewhere, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Even though no rogues were found, that doesn't make the warriors relax. We must find them before something bad happens to someone. I dived into my work, trying to distract myself from the rogues. After 3 hours, I managed to complete 2 documents and fax them to Trinity to check for any errors. My phone suddenly rang, pulling me away from my thoughts. I looked at the caller and saw it was my father. "Hey, Dad," I answered. "Alan, what's going on there?" he asked, going straight to the question. "What do you mean?" I ignored his question. "The rogues. Why am I hearing there are rogues in the human world?" "Well, I don't know. No rogues have been found yet, but their disgusting smell is all over the air." I frowned. "Well, just be careful and update me if anything happens." "I will." "Dad, don't worry." I sighed and hung up the phone. After the call with Dad, I tried to continue with my work, but my mind was still restless. I didn't know when I took the cookies and tore them open. I ate the whole piece and it was really delicious. I have had nothing to eat today, so this was at least something I could eat for now. I will probably eat something else when I get home. I continued with my work, but then my phone rang again, disturbing the quietness in the room. I looked at the caller and saw it was Kyle this time. "What is it?" I asked. "Alpha. The guards noticed a suspicious activity in the west," he said. "Is it the rogues?" "They are not sure, but from the look of things, It has to be them. Kyle replied. Okay, report back to me if it's them. I ordered. Will do, Alpha. After that phone call, my mood suddenly changed. I stood up from my seat and started pacing around the room. Trinity entered the room, but my ears weren't hearing anything she was saying, so she left. It was almost PM when I decided to leave and join the warriors in the investigation. I was physically drained and emotionally exhausted, but I wouldn't rest until every single rogue that enters my town is found. I put on my suit, grabbed my phone, keys, and locked my office. I entered the elevator and it took me to the ground floor. The whole office was empty and quiet. The guards were surprised to see me leaving this early and wished me good night. As I was about to enter my car, a piercing sound reached my ears. I heard someone crying for help, the sound sharp and desperate, and I let my werewolf ears guide me to its source. Den was already growling in my head. Then the sweet, familiar scent of Trinity hit my nose. The whole area smells like her, but then I got another scent. This one was disgusting, which means it belongs to the rogue. I growled and picked up my pace until I found her bag on the ground. Dan was begging me to let him take control, but I can't risk it. I don't want to give Trinity a heart attack. I heard her scream again, and this time it was coming from an alley. I rushed there and saw the rogue, slapped her as she lay on the ground. Some parts of her clothes were torn as she fought with him, but he was bigger and stronger than her. He straddled her waist as he raised his hand again, but before his hand could touch her, Dan took control and shifted in front of them. He took the rogue by his neck and attacked him, tearing him into pieces till he was satisfied. We turned to Trinity, who was staring at us. She was in shock, and her eyes suddenly rolled back, and before she could hit the ground, I shifted back and caught him. I held her tightly and mind-linked Kyle to get someone to clean the scene and get me a new, fresh set of clothes. In 30 minutes, the car arrived. I threw on my clothes and lifted Trinity into the back seat. To my house, I told the driver. My eyes never left Trinity as I pulled her closer to me and pecked her forehead. She fainted out of shock, and it might have traumatized her. I will never let anything happen to you again, I mumbled. Chapter 5 Trinity Povey. A banging headache woke me up from my sleep. Groaning, I held my head as I slowly sat on the soft bed before gently opening my ears. As I glanced at my surroundings, I noticed this wasn't my room, and my clothes had been changed. I stood up from the bed and walked towards the mirror in the unknown room, still wearing the oversized hoodie someone had put on me. My hair was tied up in a loose bun, and I looked different. It could have been the exhaustion from everything that had happened, or maybe the weight of reality sinking in. Everything rushed into my head at once. The attack, my boss, the cold, quiet, intelligent Alan Cooper transforming into a giant wolf. An actual terrifying growling wolf. And he killed that man. He actually saved my life from being raped or killed. None of it felt real. I sat down on the edge of the bed, gripping the edge of the comforter like it could anchor me to sanity. I had many questions, but at the top of the list was what happens now. A soft knock at the door made me jump. Trinity? It was his voice. I stood quickly and smoothed the hoodie. Yes? Can I come in? Yeah, sure. The door creaked open, and Mr. Cooper stepped inside, holding a tray with scrambled eggs, toast, and a mug of what I assumed was coffee. He looked tired. There were dark shadows under his hazel eyes, and his black hair was tousled, like he had spent the night pacing instead of sleeping. I thought you might be hungry, he said, setting the tray down on the nightstand. I nodded, still unsure of what to say. Thanks. He hesitated for a moment, like he wanted to say something more, then sat in the chair near the window. I know you probably have a million things going through your head. I gave a soft laugh. You could say that. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Last night, I wasn't planning for you to find out like that. I looked at him. But it's true. All of it? Yes. His voice was low. Everything you saw. I'm not just a businessman, Trinity. I'm also the alpha of a werewolf pack. The Moonshine Pack, alpha. Like a leader? He studied me closely, maybe expecting me to run, scream, or panic. But I didn't, because, as insane as it all sounded, a part of me had already accepted it. The way he shifted last night, the golden wolf eyes, the pure terrifying power. It was real. I sat cross-legged on the bed, careful not to knock over the tray. So, werewolves are real, packs are real, and you're some kind of what? A king? Leader, he corrected. I was born into it. My parents were the previous Alpha and Luna. When I turned 23, I took over the role. And all this time, I was working with an alpha werewolf. I whispered. I've kept it secret for a reason. To most of the human world, we don't even exist. We blend in, we run businesses, pay taxes, and live among you. But we keep our traditions, our own rules. I shook my head slowly, trying to process it. And the man, the one that attacked me, his jaw clenched. A rogue, a wolf that doesn't belong to any pack. They're dangerous, desperate, usually cast out for breaking our laws or, worse. What did I do to make him attack me? Nothing. His eyes met mine. He attacked. Because he could. Because you were alone and vulnerable. And that's on me. I should have ensured your safety long before now. The guilt in his voice surprised me. I'm fine, I said quickly. I mean, physically, thanks to you. You're not just my assistant, Trinity. You've worked with me for years. You matter to me. My heart skipped a beat. Those words hung between us longer than they should have. Did he mean that professionally or personally? I didn't dare ask. I looked down at my hands. So, what happens now? I can't let you go back home. Not yet. Not until I'm sure it's safe. I've doubled the patrols near your apartment. But until we catch whoever sent that rogue or the reason they are here, you'll stay here. My eyes widened. Stay here? In your house? He nodded. Yes, there's plenty of space. And no one will dare come near you while you're under my roof. I should have felt nervous. I should have been anxious about staying with my intimidating boss/handsome werewolf alpha. But somehow, I felt safer than I ever had. Okay, I said, but I'll still work, right? He blinked. You want to work? Well, yeah. Just because I'm in your house doesn't mean I stop being your assistant. I have emails to answer, appointments to confirm, and reports to type. Besides, I gave him a small smile. It keeps me sane. A quiet laugh escaped him, and something softened in his face. All right, if that's what you want. It was weird seeing him like this. Less CEO, more human, vulnerable even. And Mr. Cooper? He looked at me. Please call me Alan. He insisted, and I nodded. I won't tell anyone about what you are. You saved my life. I wouldn't betray that. For the first time, I saw relief in his eyes. Thank you. He stood, nodding toward the tray. Eat something. I'll be downstairs if you need anything. After he left, I ate slowly, thoughts spinning. My boss was a werewolf. My life was officially something out of a paranormal TV series. And despite all logic, I didn't feel like running. I felt drawn to him. Later that day, I followed the scent of fresh brewed coffee downstairs and found Alan sitting in the library. He wore a different shirt, sleeves rolled up, revealing the muscular forearms I always pretended not to stare at during meetings. There were papers spread across the table and a laptop open in front of him. He looked up when I stepped in. You're up. I figured I'd make myself useful. I held up the tablet I use for work. Emails are piling up. He smiled faintly and gestured for me to sit. Be my guest. As I took the seat across from him, I noticed it, the awareness in his eyes. Was he seeing me differently now? Or was it me who was seeing him in a new way? We worked quietly for a while, clicking through schedules and reviewing proposals. It felt almost normal, until a ringing phone echoed through the hallway, and Alan immediately picked it up. Hey, Mom. He answered as he stood up and left the room. I should call Dad after I finish work. Otherwise, he'll start worrying, and that's not good for his health. I sighed and set my pen down before standing, my eyes drifting to the paintings on the wall. I still can't believe how one incident has changed the way I see the world. You never really know who someone is anymore. A different world has been opened for me. Hi. I'm the author behind the story. My pen name is Prem and my book In Love with My Alpha Boss is now on Amazon.